my children go to a bilingual immersion school, Harris. And sometimes I find myself there on the playground trying to talk to another teacher or a parent, and they'll ask me in Spanish, how am I doing? Is it bien or bon? I get confused between my French and my Spanish, and I just smile and nod my head. Why do I have such a hard time? Why do I feel so embarrassed that I might say the wrong word? I mean, are they really going to laugh at me or care if I say bon instead of bien? And I always use the line that I have such a cute American accent because I know that my pronunciation is terrible, so I have that one covered. And then last summer, I found myself in Cheyenne at the Indian village next to the Cheyenne Frontier Days, and they had this hoop dance for the kids. So I went out with my daughter, she was feeling a little shy, and we did this dance with these hula hoop type things. And I found myself so out of breath just doing this little hoop dance. It wasn't that big of a deal, but I thought, I am in such bad shape. Oh my gosh. And I find so many great excuses for not exercising. I do ride my bike to work, but as far as running, well, you know, with my 4 kids, how many years was I either pregnant or having a toddler or an infant? I had so many great excuses. Well, I decided this year I turned 50. I need some new goals. I need to address some improvements in my life. And recently I read this book, a new book by Dan and Chip Heath, who I love. It's called The Power of Moments. And one thing that really struck me in that book was how when people set goals, they set too big, vague of goals. So they say, I want to get in better shape. Or they say, I want to learn a new language. How many copies of Rosetta Stone are bought each year? And do people actually learn the language? So taking their advice, I thought I could use some of those ideas. So I got the Y2 Couch to 5K program on my phone, and it leads me through. I'm on my 4th week of running a little farther each time, and it has a profile on here so I can look back and see my progress and feel like, yeah, I'm accomplishing something. So that was one of my first steps. And then I thought, well, next I could sign up for some 5K runs. And I thought, okay, well, I can say, I could probably do 5K runs between now and the end of my 50th year. That feels doable. And after I've done all that, then I think I can feel better about going on some hikes in the mountains. Right now, if I go on hikes, I feel so out of breath. So I would really like to go hiking in the mountains with my family next year. And I'm hoping that by getting started running, doing some 5K runs, that will enable me to do that. Well, then there's that language thing. And I thought, yeah, you know, I'm probably not going to become fluent in Spanish. But I have another 1.5 years when my daughter is at this school. How could I take advantage of that? What milestones could I set? And I also remembered Josh Kaufman's book, The First 20 Hours, where he argues you don't need to spend 10,000 hours to become an expert in something. You can spend 20 focused hours and get a good start at something if you go about it in the right way. So what could I do in 20 hours to reach some kind of milestone? What are little steps that could make me feel like I'm making progress? And some of these ideas came from the Power of Moments book. Well, I could learn the words to be able to go to a Mexican restaurant that has Spanish-speaking staff and order my meal and pay for it in Spanish. That's a pretty good goal. That feels doable. I could start reading in Spanish more regularly with my daughter, which will help her meet her goals too. We are having some family fun nights at school, and I was thinking, well, maybe we could make some booths and have stickers for things like having a short conversation about different topics like your family or your hobbies or your work. And so maybe I could help myself be able to reach those little objectives of being able to have a short conversation on those different topics. I'd love to be able to call a Spanish-speaking parent on the phone and recruit them for volunteering at the school. I feel like that's a fairly limited vocabulary. I could do that. And maybe in a couple years, our youth group does mission trips, service trips. Maybe I could volunteer to go along on one of those and use some of my Spanish on that. So those goals feel very concrete to me, and they feel like they're doable. And I thought one of my first steps is I want to learn how to say, thank you for helping me learn Spanish, so I get over that feeling like I'm looking stupid, because of course I don't know Spanish, but how am I going to learn if I never start? So those are some of my ideas for new goals that I want to spend. And when you see me jogging around, maybe I'll say hola to you when I'm working on my Spanish.